Daytona USA is a racing video game developed by Sega AM2 and released by Sega in 1993 for the arcades, obviously, and then it was ported to the Sega Saturn. This is the first Sega Saturn version of Daytona Racing. I'll be giving this a review now, and a review of the Sega Saturn Daytona USA Championship Edition in a later video. But as for now, we're just doing the first port. This was ported to the Sega Saturn as a Western launch title in 1995. Came in like one of those flat sort of, promotional cases originally. I own it, well, because over in England we have the really weird cardboard plastic shell casing. They're very strange, and they're terrible because they do not stay together very well. You either have to use a Pritt stick or something just to glue the top back on. Now, obviously, this was rushed to launch for the Sega Saturn, so there will be some graphical issues, like the pop-in is not quite good in the distance, the render distance, you guys. Not fantastic, but it's okay, I can cope with it, because this is a really good game and has an amazing soundtrack, an opening theme. I mean, come on, that is brilliant. On the release of the console port, Famicom Tushin scored the Sega Saturn version game a 30 out of 40. Before giving it a first 8 out of 10 and then later a 9 out of 10 in their Reader Cross review. The two sports reviews of Electronic Gaming Monthly gave the Saturn version scores 8 and 7.5 out of 10, noting that some problems with the frame rate, which I just mentioned, and the animation, but declaring it an overly good version. Our review particularly applauded the Sega of America for taking the time to polish up the North American version so it plays better than the rushed Japanese version. GamePro praised the addition of the Saturn mode and mirror mode and strong gameplay as a core. They did conclude in their review that Daytona pales in comparison with Ridge Racer for the Japanese PlayStation, which takes an early lead with better features, gameplay and graphics. Regardless, Daytona's intense gameplay and breathtaking graphics will exhilarate any racing fan. Maximum also commented on the Saturn's version: low resolution, texture mapping, clipping, large borders in the PAL release anyway. However, Daytona USA is still one of the greatest racing games ever made, and you can still find the original arcade game in some of our local arcades where I live in Norfolk in England. Except I don't appreciate having to travel all the way to the seaside just so I could play a really good version of Daytona. The original release of Daytona USA for the Saturn is a good game. However, there are two better versions of it, or better-ish versions of it. So in my review of this, you can get this quite cheap, so I'd recommend getting this copy, but I'd also recommend the others, but we'll get to those in a later video. So Daytona USA is a super awesome game.
Now, list your name with the other champions.
What could possibly go wrong?